Hey friends, we have a really great story for you today. We're talking to Alicia Ybarra. She is actually one of our clients who followed one of our new playbooks we released inside of our program, and she made $36,956 in 30 days. She kept doing it, so she's got even bigger and better results to show when we interview her on the podcast. So we actually launched this reactivation campaign, this reactivation program, and she followed it. She was inspired by it. She did some of her own twists and turns. You're going to hear about it in the episode as well, and how she got such big results. If you are not reactivating old clients, getting them back, getting them to buy again, stay tuned. This is a really good episode for you to make some quick cash as well. Hi, Alicia. Welcome to Well-Oiled Operations.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. I am really looking forward to chatting today. So before we dive in, can you tell everybody what your business is, where you're located, how long you've been in business?
We are the Midwest, soon to be nationwide premier bridal design house. I'm a couture wedding gown designer, been in business for 16 years, and we're located in the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas.
We have you on because you were our first place winner in our reactivation contest. And I promised everybody that you clearly know what you're doing here. And I want to hear what you did and how you did it and all of the things, because I think that a lot of people can learn from what you did. Now, first, I want to ask you, when I launched the reactivation contest campaign, et cetera, did you immediately go, oh, I'm going to do well in this? Like, I'm leaving so much money on the table. Were you skeptical? Fill me in.
I thought that this wasn't going to apply to me because we don't necessarily have reactivation clients.
Yeah.
Because we're in bridal, it's kind of a one and done. Once they're married, unless something crazy happens and then you just send a wedding dress down the road. Usually we only work with them once and then they're moving on with their lives. So initially I didn't think that this was going to work for me, but then I decided to rephrase that based off your training, change that mindset. And I thought to myself, how can I apply this to my situation?
Completely. So
Yeah.
you took the framework of reactivating, use those strategies to make 36, almost $37,000. So I don't care how you twisted and turned anything. I'm like, good for you, because so many people will say, oh, Stacey, I'm in real estate, so I can't reactivate. I'm like, well, yes, you can. But in their mind, they're like, you buy one house, you're done, right? So you could have easily said, this doesn't apply, I'm not going to do it. You kind of took like a little spin on it. So first, I want to hear, there's text campaigns, there's emails, there's a lot in there. What is one of the first things that you did to even decide, what am I going to offer? What am I going to put out there?
I actually did a text campaign to start with,
Okay.
and then revised it into a video message campaign. So my target audience right now is Generation Z,
Okay.
and they are very tech. Like they
Yes.
text, they video chat, like they watch videos, and they're researchers. Initially, what I did was I had a spreadsheet of leads from a bridal expo that we recently had. Normally, I would send some email campaigns and that would be it. I'd text the ones that would come into my booth, but the messaging that I previously had used in other years that worked was no longer working. Last year was very frustrating because I couldn't figure out how to reach this market.
Okay.
It's just different on how we connect with them. With the pandemic, it's just was like a really hard shift on communication between the millennial generation and then the Generation Z.
Well,
So,
let me tell you, I'm going to be 40 and I prefer text over email. I would much rather have you.
Yeah.
Did they say that? Yeah. I mean, I think the new generation maybe kicked us off with it, but I think a lot of us are now adapting it too. So I will say, I used to think text messaging was unprofessional. Like, I remember the first times I got it and I was like, what is this person doing? And now I find it so convenient. I think it's becoming more mainstream. I think the text message is the new email, right? It's proven to have better open rates. People respond, they see it faster, they respond faster. So just in general, I want everybody to hear that if you aren't using text right now, you aren't building phone numbers, a phone number list, you 1000% need to. Another really interesting fact is on one of our funnels, we make the phone number optional, and like 60 to 70% are giving numbers. So they want the text communication. So I just want to like shout out Alicia here for like going the route people are wanting.
We did run just like a sample sale to try and get people in the door for design consultations. Well, what happened was if they already had purchased their dress, in the past, I would send them a text, we'd love to help you with alterations, end of conversation. This year, I took your strategies and we booked those alterations appointments immediately. So we sent a text message, and then I actually ended up sending a video message when we weren't getting much response back with the texting. I just recorded myself saying the message, sent that, and said, and this was actually for our past clients. So there were kind of two phases to this. The first one was with the new leads, sent them the text message, and then booked those alterations appointments instead of just writing them off as, oh, well, you've already got your wedding dress. So to me, that was reactivation because it was a lead. I didn't sell to them the way I intended to sell to them, but I was still able to make money off of that. And then the second part of that was once they came in our store with their wedding dress, then we sent that video message to them for the upsells, which is the menswear. That is technically reactivation.
Yeah.
Because with menswear, like I never pushed to that before. We'd
You
say,
would have just been done with those people and they would have moved on.
Oh, we offer it, but would never have gone after them with that. So now we have this system in place where every month, every new bride that comes in our store, we're sending this video message, whether it's personal per consultant that they're working with. So whether it's myself or it's with my other designer, they are getting a message from their person. So they feel like it's coming specifically to them. And it's just telling them about the sale, the menswear sale and the discounts that they get because they're our preferred client. And then from there, they are booking menswear consultations.
Which is amazing.
They're not booking it straight from that text message or that video message yet, but when they come back from their next appointment, they'll say, "Oh, tell me some more about your men's."
So
and
it's
we have a flyer
piquing interest.
Well, so we're like kind of layering up on this, and all of that we've not done that before. And I did pull some more recent numbers just to kind of let you know where we are since we talked last. Our profit is actually up by $10,000 year to date, and our sales year to date are up by 21,000 overall, which is pretty big deal.
Yeah, congrats. Okay, amazing. So you just had like some golden nuggets we just very quickly brushed over, and I want to go back. So you've been seeding what we call, right? Even though you're like, they don't see the menswear text and immediately buy, but it does kind of prompt them now, oh, they do this too. Interesting. When I'm back in, now they're all of a sudden bringing it up, and you don't have to feel salesy. They're saying to you, can you tell me more about this text message? Now, thank you for being specific when you say the video is just what you would have said in a text, but you just say it out loud. Because I know somebody's going to say, but what do you say in a video message? It's exactly what you would text. You're just saying on camera, and they get to see you.
Two ways. We sent it just without any text underneath it. And that did not get opened and watched as much as if we sent it and then said, I made you a video. And like, that was the key. If we summarized what was in it, then they didn't watch the video because it was already there. But if I said, I made you a video, oh, what's she telling me? Like, don't you naturally just want to open that and say, what's she talking about?
Yeah. Okay. So this is so interesting. So video by itself, not as good as a video with the sentence, I made you a video. Video with the summary of the video gets less views, so also not as effective. So it's got to be just a little teaser with the video. I kind of agree because you're like, why did somebody send me this? What is this, right? Versus saying, hey, Alicia, I made this video. Let me know what you think, right? Like something where it's like, oh no, she's really talking to me, right? So, okay, so good. Did you have a software, or is this manual text messaging people?
Still manual. We are working on getting a CRM set up so that we don't have to manually do it. But
but it's okay. I wanted people to hear, like in the beginning, it probably is manual. And then when you see, oh man, I'm leaving money on the table. Now it's very easy to say, let's invest in a software that has text capabilities, because you have proven this to be very lucrative. So why would you not invest in a software? Whereas in the beginning, you're like, I don't even know if I'm going to use this. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm going to set all that up. And then it actually will paralyze you because you're like, I don't know how to set it up. I don't know how to, right? So I will tell you.
I purchased the program 3 months ago and we're still manually texting because I haven't set it up yet.
Yeah. So don't let that stop you of like, well, I don't have the software, because I'm interviewing 3 of you today. And I actually know 2 of the 3 of you did a lot of manual stuff. And that's fine. The goal is to eventually take it from manual and make it automated. But usually before anything is automated, you are getting results manually. So can you tell me, with this new menswear, like now that you've started kind of reactivating them to come back and buy this, what are you looking at sales wise there? Like, how will that impact your business now? Just because that feels very different than what you were doing before.
Year to date, we've doubled our menswear.
Wow. Okay.
So, the last numbers that I pulled were about 8,000 more, probably more than that. I'm not looking at the most updated numbers here, but it's around
Okay.
$8,500.
Enough to say we should double down on
Extra.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is working. Right. And how many people wouldn't want an extra $8,500 coming in right now? Right. Okay. So good. So this was intended to be this like 30-day quick cash injection. How has this changed your new system forever? Like, what does that look like for you?
It's a revolving door now. So
Okay.
the sales are just kind of continuing to come in. So yes, we had an influx of leads that we will eventually reach the bottom of, but then we have another show in July. So we have this same system set up that when July hits, we're going to be able to do the same thing and continue to book and continue to upsell. Not only that, but like I mentioned with the menswear, now we have this system where every month I have someone who is sending out those text messages to our past brides. So it's scheduled in, so it's going to continue to go. Now, we did have, obviously, and bridal season is traditional, you have a big uptick at the beginning of the year, and then it does taper back off. So we're starting to see a little bit of that taper. But I'm fully intending to keep these systems going, because even with what we have in place, it's already just, I'm starting to see this almost snowball effect, I guess I would say.
Well, and it's producing revenue, which means you can now hire somebody to maintain those systems. So I know you were doing it all and you put in some extra work to make it happen. But again, it's proof of concept. And now you've got the funds to say, we could hire somebody to actually do this, and they become a revenue generator.
I'm so glad you said that, because what I learned through this is with that massive influx in sales, I got sucked back into the day-to-day, and I'm still sucked back into the day-to-day. So some of the decline I think that I'm seeing is because now I'm focused on production. I'm not focused
you had to.
on sales and marketing. And so I am at that point now where I need to hire the next person so that I can continue the sales and marketing.
Yeah. And that is such a normal situation for a small business owner. Like, we're playing whack-a-mole, right? We put on the marketer hat, we get in there, we blow up marketing. We're like, oh shoot, I got to go help fulfillment. We put on the fulfillment hat, we're doing it. And then it's like, oh wait, why is marketing dipping? Oh, because I just, So the only way you get out of that hamster wheel, right, is by first you getting in there, you setting up the systems, you figuring it out, and then putting it on somebody's plate to say, here's what I want to see happen in the future, right? I am happy like that you're sharing, like, this was work. Like, we were manual, we were doing this, then I had to fulfill on it, right? It's just a good way though to get the ball rolling. And what's interesting too is some people will come into Well Oiled and they'll say, I really need help with marketing. And then we'll say, so if we gave you an extra 10 clients or 100 clients right now, could you fulfill? And they're like, oh, no, like, no, I could never, right? And it's like, you might think you want marketing and sales, but can you handle marketing and sales, right? So sometimes you are at a place where it's like, it's okay that marketing and sales is slowing down. You've got to get your fulfillment systems in place or the people in place so that you can then go back into marketing and sales or put somebody in marketing and sales. Right. I'm curious for you, where do you love to be the most? Like, if you could just pick one of those.
It's twofold. I've actually been kind of considering which one I do love most, because I love design as much, but I really do think it's the sales, that one-on-one conversation with the bride, which includes the designing, of course, and the sketching. That's my sweet spot. Like, that's where I really love to be. I love building and creating the dresses back there too, but I'm at the point now where I would rather delegate even that to someone else, where I'm supervising the design still, but the sales, I do love it.
Yeah.
Marketing still scares me. Like, that word still scares me, but coming up with a referral campaign and contacting past clients and like having conversations with new leads, that stuff I love. So maybe that's marketing, but I think I'm like, that's sales, right?
Yeah. So, okay. Well, and here's the cool part is you, as the business grows, right, you get to start deciding, what do I love and what am I going to keep and what am I going to get rid of, right? I think people think like, I don't want to delegate myself out of the business. I love designing. Okay, well, what if you just got to design and that was it? and you just did it as many hours as you wanted. And then you said enough, right? So you get to have way more control of your schedule than you do if you're still wearing all of the hats.
And when I joined the program, as you know, I was wearing all the
Yeah.
hats, all of them. So I have been able to step back to where now I am primarily only over two departments, sales and
Yeah.
marketing, operations. I am still involved in production,
Yeah.
fulfillment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still involved in that, but I do have people there. So I really think operations is the next place that I need to get somebody
Yeah.
in. That is not my thing. I do not enjoy that. And
And
then
it takes a lot of time, right? If it's not your thing, yeah, if you don't enjoy it, it's not your thing, it can really take a lot of time and you start to dread it, right? You're like, I don't want to go to work on Monday because I know I have to do payroll or I know I have to do, right? And that's not why we built a business. One thing that you had said was like, I heard it, but you didn't specifically say it. So you tried a few ways of those text messages to get them to open. I think sometimes people think, well, I sent out the message, nothing happened. You're flat out saying, I tested, I tried. So before, everybody just thinks you send out a few couple emails and like numbers just exploded. Can you share any like troubleshooting or something that you were surprised about, or maybe something that failed in it? Because like with every win, there's also fails, right?
For me, it was problem solving, which I'm a natural problem solver. So
Okay.
I didn't plant this out ahead of time outside of I need to make sales. I need to get the leads in. And so here's what we're going to do. And so I
Okay.
just like kind of went for it.
Okay.
Just like all in.
Yeah. Okay. I
So
love it.
I just got down and I just started texting. And then when I started getting some responses back, or I was getting negative responses back, then I was like, okay, what could I do to tweak this message? And I
Yeah.
remember hearing a lesson when I was at the deep dive conference about how
Mhm.
important video is, and that video is worth more than a photo and all of this. Like
Awesome.
video is worth 1,000 photos, a photo's
Yeah.
worth 1,000 words. So I was like, well, let me just try recording a message. And I did that. And then I put like a description underneath.
Okay.
And I noticed, okay, I'm still not getting quite what I would like to get back here.
Yeah.
And then I sent the video and just said, I made you a video. And that I had heard from somebody else in a
Okay.
completely different field,
Yeah.
that they were doing this type of marketing, just conversational marketing, really. And then all of a sudden the videos started getting opened and I was
Okay.
getting responses
Yeah.
back.
It takes a certain kind of person to get the negative response, the not great response, but still keep going. What is it in you that doesn't just give up after the negative response that comes in?
I think that's why I'm still in business. It's grit, really. It's a unwillingness to take no for an answer when you know that you can help the person. So
Yeah.
even just like when a bride would say, oh, I already have my wedding dress, then I would immediately go into that next. We would love to help you with alterations, but more than that, do you have pictures of your wedding dress? And
Mm.
they're excited. They
Oh, of
love to share
course they want to
that.
show.
So like never leaving it open-ended, but ask them to do something in return. So
Mm.
ask them to give you an answer. So when is your wedding date? Do you have photos of your wedding dress? Or when I'm selling a custom gown, do you have inspiration pictures of what your dream dress looks like? So I have the scripts, and the main thing through this process is I recorded the scripts. So I had them previously. Now they're recorded. So my customer service person
Yeah.
is sending those scripts out now when we get inquiries and new leads in.
Okay, so good. So a big sales tip you just said, I want to make sure everybody heard, was you don't say text message like, yeah, let me know. You end it with an open-ended question. Do you have a picture of your dress? When is your wedding date? It's a very simple yes, no, here it is, here's the date, right? That keeps the conversation going, because that is going to be key. I bring up like, what is it in you that keeps you going? Because we've had people literally say it's a 30-day reactivation campaign. And we've had people say, well, I sent the first text and nothing happened, so I stopped because it clearly isn't working. It's like, no, this is not how this works, right? Like you just said, no feedback, negative feedback is feedback, right? So how can I try again? How can I get them to want to respond? How can I make this be a win-win? And that is no doubt why you ended up in first place, because you just kept trying and twisting and turning.
I spent a year. I spent a year trying to figure out how to communicate to this market and feeling those frustrations over and over and over and over. And honestly, for me, it was just those little tidbits that I picked up in some of these training lessons. And then the other thing that I did was I did some market research, and I found out that across the board, this generation research is so it was actually normal for them not to buy from me right away. Whereas before I could sell immediately,
Oh,
previously, I thought something was wrong with me. No, it's just that my market changed and I
yeah.
had to change and adapt to it to
Okay.
reach it.
Did you do any emails on top of text, or was this solely text campaign?
We did have some emails going
Okay.
out, but I didn't necessarily book anything from it. Our
Yeah,
open rate
more
was like
text.
30% on it though. So like
Okay.
that was pretty
So they
good.
were
They,
opening it. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's just good for people to hear, like, do I do both? Do I have time to do both? What if I can only do one? Okay, do I just go the text route?
If you only have time to do one, again, it depends on your market, but I really feel like the text message is where it's at. I mean, just
Yeah.
think about your inbox, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
like how many people probably just do that? Or this generation doesn't even check their email.
I was just gonna say they
Like I
legit don't
kids
check
are
it.
that age and they
Yeah.
never check their email. Like I have to be on them. Check it. You've got
Yes.
scholarships coming in. Like all of this stuff. Like
Yeah. I think unless you're like my mom or my grandma's age, I don't know that you're not texting, right? Like my mom is even texting, right? My grandma actually does text, but like I'm just saying it's probably, our age, like 40s, I would say 50s and younger, people are liking the text message. I just did a hair appointment and it was like, you put in your info and it said, how would you like us to communicate with you? And it literally said text, call, email. And I said text and they texted me.
to break that down even further, depending on your demographic, I didn't intend for this to kind of turn
Yeah.
into like a generational demographic conversation, but it's just so interesting
Mhm.
because that's what I've learned over the course of
Yeah.
this last year. Even further than that, when you're sending text messages to Generation Z, so 28 and under, they will read it and retain the information more if you insert emojis in your text message.
Thank you for sharing
And
that.
but the older generation won't. If it's emojis, it annoys them. So you have to, I have two scripts
You have to know your
depending
people.
depending on who I'm talking to. One
Yeah.
for like updates or like how to get into my building and parking instructions. That's what we were getting so frustrated because they weren't reading it. And we put them
Mm,
in and all of a sudden they started reading it. So just like little things like that. And even in the emails, we're putting emojis in the headlines and
yeah.
even in the body a little bit to just kind of draw your eye through it.
Yeah. And here's the thing, guys. She has tested. So when she says this is working, she's saying, I tried it once without, I tried it once with, and here are the better results. Don't take her word for it that that's going to happen for you. You need to do what she did. You need to try one with, one without, and see what happens, right? Because every market's different, every industry is different. And it's possible we have different clientele, right? So don't look at the specifics of what she's saying. Look at the big picture is like she's testing and she's learning and then she's going more of what is working. Any last piece of advice that you want to share with a business owner listening, just like you? Just anything that you want to share of like maybe with something with your results or something you've just learned this year in business. I'd love to have you kind of give a little piece of advice.
Definitely. I mean, you guys have all heard this, but don't give up. Like keep going when it's tough. For me, the biggest thing was a mindset shift. And even yesterday, you know how it is. It's day to day. One day you're feeling on top of the world. The next day you feel like your doors are going to close. And
Mhm.
it's mindset is all the only thing that's different there. So put some activities in place to change that mindset. Yesterday, I was on the call with the coach and she said, just list out all of the accomplishments that you've done. List them all out. What have you accomplished in the last 90 days? What have you accomplished since joining this program? And just list them out, print them up there and look at them whenever you're starting to feel this way. And I haven't yet done that exercise, but I did it in my head, which
Yeah, I
is,
was going to say, you already know it's huge, but you don't think of it until somebody forces you to say,
oh, you
stop for
don't.
a minute. Yeah. We're trying to make sure our coaches are pulling that out of you more. And they're going to hold you accountable to like, no, really, what did you do? Because if you don't recognize it, sometimes it does feel like, what am I doing? Why am I even doing this? And it's like, oh my goodness, that one thing that's bugging you is overpowering the 72 things that you've done so well with. But that is how our brain works, right? We see the one negative review, not the 104 amazing reviews.
Why we're entrepreneurs because we're
Yeah.
immediately always going on to the next thing. That's why we're where
Yeah.
we are, why we're successful, because we're always thinking about the next thing and where we haven't attained yet, right?
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
like taking the time, but it's so important to take the time and celebrate those wins for
So
sure.
good. So now I know you do sell nationwide. So for if somebody happens to be listening and they're getting married or their daughter's getting married or whoever, where can people find more about you and your business?
VanyaDesigns.com. And you can definitely check out our lookbook on Instagram, which is Vanya Designs Bridal.
Can you spell it?
VANYA designs.com.
Okay. Amazing. We'll put all of those in the show notes as well. Alicia, thanks for being here. Thanks for just like playing full out and like just going for it and not stopping when things get difficult, but then the results to show. So kudos to you. Just incredible, incredible work ethic. We're so grateful to have you in the program.
I'm grateful for all of your coaching and advice because it's brought us a long way, brought me a long way.
Thank you so much.